If I took a poll and asked this worshiping family, are we in a crisis in our culture, in our America? I think there would be unanimity. Absolutely. Wherever you turn, there is an SOS. But I think if you went to the White House or to Washington and asked the same question, are we in a crisis? And they would say, absolutely not. This is becoming America's finest hour. Lenin would be pleased. George Soros is pleased. Saul Alinsky would be pleased. Karl Marx would be thrilled to death. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand something. And a lot of those in the halls of Congress don't get it. A lot of our commentators don't get it. The idea, man, don't they know? Don't they understand? Don't they see what's happening here and here and here and here? Sure. They know exactly what happens, because if you wrote down a prescription and say, what has happened throughout history when a revolution is taking place, what has to take place first? And they have a checklist, and as far as I can determine, every standard is being addressed. You can take any one avenue of that. Take the thing of police, those who protect us. Defund them, cut down the number, do not give them the backing of the county, city, government so they can do their job to protect us. What would be that motivation for the exploration, the explosion of crime in every area of America today? Well, why would anyone want that? One reason: so that the state would have to come and bail out, i.e. Chicago, because obviously they cannot take care of their population as they are. So it is the total replacement of the local, the city, the county, the state, by the federal who comes in, and now everything comes from the top down. The whole agenda, as I've said repeatedly, is to take America, a nation under God, and make it a nation under the state. And that is the whole process of a revolution. And the tragedy is that 5% of a population who is militant and committed to destruction and remapping and reconstituting a nation, 5% who are committed and militant and have really no moral standards can totally change a country. If the other 90% or 95% are like ostriches, and we put an ostrich puts his head in the sand, and we look up and say, oh, I don't want to see that. We put our head back down, and we put our head in the sand. We look up and say, boy, that's a terrible thing. I don't want to see that. We put our head in our sand, and we look up and say, boy, I wish I could do something about that. I don't want to see that. A complacent, asleep population can be totally changed within 10, 12 months. And that's exactly what we're seeing tragically in the United States of America. And in the process, we're becoming increasingly more like the USSR. They had in their constitution, we as a nation do not believe there is a God. It has to be godless. Communism has to be godless. And communism sounds so great, ladies and gentlemen, up front. Man, it sounds super. You could sell me on it in a minute. From each according to his ability, right? To each according to his need. Boy, doesn't that sound like utopia? But in practice, it leads to an economy and a nation that goes to sleep and loses productivity, and the American dream of going from rags to riches is thrown to smithereens, and there is a static kind of country that comes into being that usually and normally, I want to say always, leads to a dictatorship. There are those who are totally dependent on the state, and there are those who have everything on the other side, and control takes place, and now it's the state and not the nation under God, because God has been totally punted out of the culture. Just a little aside I thought of this morning. If anyone in the sound of my voice, here, radio, television, across the nation, that's where we go, can find me the name of one. You know, Abraham was looking for 10 righteous in Sodom and Gomorrah and could not find them. Therefore, the judge. I just want one biblical, evangelical person who has a Christian worldview, who serves in the executive branch of our government. I just want you to find one. Just one. I think that is a clear statement of so many decisions are being made now in the United States of America. I don't like to be negative, but I'm using this negative thing to say to all of us, myself included, have played the role of the ostrich, to awaken and to stand unapologetically, publicly, boldly for Jesus Christ and for the United States of America.